Now that we have completed neuroscience to physics, chemistry, and everything, it's time to go back to Maharahulavada Sutta because that is the primary. So, what is Buddha trying to say to Rahula is that how do you do five khandhas? How do you understand five khandhas? Is by making the dhatus. So, there are six dhatus, which is what there in Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta. So, and also there in Titayatana Sutta. So, if somebody were to ask what is the teaching of the Buddha, it is what he says in Titayatana Sutta. That we should remember. If anybody asks on what is that you're following, then it is that. It's not something like anicca, dukkha, anatta, and all of that. That is nature. Not about being a sotapanna.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Not being anything. Got nothing to do with that. But what we need to see is that what is the teaching? The teachings are six dhatus and six ayatanas and 18 mental preoccupation. That's exactly what we should know. Nothing else than that. So why are you following Buddha? Is that you want to understand and experience yourself, this one. Not about any tradition, anything at all. Doesn't matter what tradition you are. So, six elements, six field of contact, which is the ayatana, and then 18 mental preoccupations. And this is what brings in dukkha, or the Four Noble Truth. That's all. So, what does he say with regards to the Four Noble Truth? So, he says that how does it come to be? So, he says, Channam bhikkhave dhatunam upadaya gabbasavakkanti hoti. So, these six, cha means six, Channam bhikkhave, these six, which are the dhatu, upadaya, when it comes together, gabbasavakkanti hoti. Then it enters into the womb. Okkantiya sati namarupam. Namarupa pachaya salayatana. Salayatana pachaya phassa. Phassa pachaya vedana. Vedana manasako panaham bhikkave idam dukkanti. So, each tradition has taken part of it. Like in Goenka, he has taken the feelings, but he has missed out phassa. And some other will be talking something else. But why was Rahula not able to understand? Because Rahula was looking at the Rupa, not any other. So, what did Buddha do is to give him the knowledge of five dhatus completely. And for the feeling, he took him through the Anapanasati. And that will end the journey. And hence, in every majority of the sutta, you'll find Buddha talking about Anapanasati as the sure shot for liberation. This is for those people who can't understand the six ayatanas and the 18 mental preoccupations. Because 6 into 3 is 18. You have neutral, you have pleasant, you have unpleasant. So you have 18 of them. Okay. So that's what we need to know. We have 18 of this, 6 of ayatanas, 6 of dhatus. It's not about which retreat will I go. You can go wherever. Doesn't matter. Like some people call me and they say, as though they are done something wrong. I'm going to that retreat. Hope you are okay. I say, no problem. You can go. Why I should have a problem? But you're not following the Buddha teaching. That you should know. You're doing something. That's correct. That's good. But that's not what Buddha says. So if I am truly a Buddha follower, to be truth and fact, then it can be only 6 dhatus, 6 ayatanas, 18 mental preoccupation, 4 noble truths. That's it. It doesn't matter what I believe in, which tradition I believe in, where do I go, no matter. Okay. So with this clarity, let's begin with dhatu. Okay, that's the first thing, right? So he says, know the dhatu. It's not the khandas. Khanda you will know if you know the dhatu. You can't know the khanda without dhatu. So dhatu vibhanga is the first thing to be done. Division. So I need to know what this body is before I let go the attachment to the body. Then I need to know the mind. For me to let go of the mind. So then there is no body, there is no mind. Then I've done. Now what happens to the firing, neural networks? You created a new neural pathway, which will not go back to the old way of doing. Now, what changes does it bring? It brings a seismic change. We already heard about seismic, which we looked at waves. So you'll have a seismic. P and other kind of waves will differ. So you will see a change. So in that way, the vijnana is not you, because that is changed. Now you don't see that, what you were seeing earlier. So the perception has changed. So what you can do in the brain is to change the perception. So when you change the perception, the experience Vedana is changed. So the perception is changed, so the Vedana is changed. How about stopping both the Vedana and the perception, or the perception and Vedana, or Sanya and Vedana? It becomes Sanya Vedita Nirodha, cessation of perception and feeling. How it is achieved? In 2 ways. One, your HRV goes down, goes up, while your heartbeat goes down. The first measure, EEG will almost become flat. So let's say I put this muse band and I'm measuring for half an hour or 1 hour or 2 hours, whatever hour kept it. Now this EEG will not work without me closing the eyes, because that's how it is. They have put an algorithm. So if I open the eyes, it doesn't measure properly. So what I should do is just close the eyes, but do exactly the same thing. The alpha waves, the beta, theta, gamma, and delta, 5 waves, they keep on changing, which shows me the anicca nature, because it is shifting. So I can see it. So it is measuring the intensity of each of these waves. So when the intensity is changed, then what should really happen to me? The waves will not remain the same. They will go on a different oscillations. And when they go on a different oscillation, it measures that oscillation. In the case of Sanya Vedata Nirodha, it goes flat. There is life, the heartbeat is there, life is there, but the brain waves cannot be measured. So almost the EEG throws flat, which is like brain dead, right? For that moment. So what should I do? Simple. Be with the breath. Do the 16 parts. Anapana. Not the Anapana of Goenka. Anapanasati, as what Buddha proclaims. Not claims, he proclaims, which is true. It's not Chittanupasana of 16 chittas. No, it is Chittanupasana of 4. Chitta patisamvedi asasi samiti sikkati. Then abhipamojam. Then samadham. That is samadhi. Then vimocha. When the vimocha happens, what happens? The EEG turns flat. That's what happens on the neural network or on the brain waves. Okay, so why I covered this is will be very interesting. If you really see, you can measure it and see it is so nice to observe how this whole thing works. So the deep sleep state is delta. Now, in the EEG, it will not have delta waves. Then drowsy meditative state is theta waves. That also will be flat. Relaxed wakefulness is alpha. That would be there, but very low. Beta, alert thinking. Yes, but lower. And one strange fact, high frequency integration, gamma, will not even be there, which gives an impression that there is no activity in the brain at all. Now, when there is no activity in the brain, what should happen to that person? I say no activity. Where does he go? Like in this case, this is what is showing. That means 2% activity, 98% inactivity. Whereas to make it 100, you see here, it's turned green from this because the assignment given was make it 100. So what happened? There's activity. And when this activity, this is how it works. This is no activity. You see here delta, 0, almost touching 0. It's only 10%. If I had done it well, it would have gone to 0. Okay. And the beta, alertness. Alpha is alertness. Beta is where you can have some activities going, but gamma is taken over. But here, delta, it should have been 0. 66% on delta. Very worse. And gamma is 6. Screwed up from here to here. Completely spoiled because of activity. It's a good measure to see the activity. Okay. So, if I were to do a brainwave mapping after doing the 5 dhatus, delta waves, very slow, deep sleep, heavy drowsiness. So, that day when I tested the second time, it became dull. And beta, it's a lot of effort. So, if you see my graph, it is showing beta is up because it is restless. Alpha has gone down because it's not relaxed wakefulness. Theta waves, sometimes it is with clarity or with dullness. And gamma is high integration, sharp clarity. It has gone down. Okay. So if I take like that, digam va santo assa samiti pajanati, what happens in the brain? If I take this EEG thing and if I were to put it like this and start testing, as soon as the electrodes touch here, can be measured. I'm not switched it on, but can be measured. What happens? The beta waves will start. Okay. And then the alpha starts because if I'm attending to the breath, to knowing the breath, so alpha will increase. Okay. So diga rasa, you'll have alpha, beta moving in a fashion. Okay. So alpha would stabilize because now there is no need for me to think on this because this is touching. So there would be something thinking to know what is happening. It should go down. So alpha stabilizes, then becomes less coarse thinking and more sensory perception with precision being there. Now comes the most best part. When do you get into sabbakaya patisamvedi? So here is where the neurotransmitters will change, meaning the neurons firing will be different. So the synapses where the neurochemicals are coming would be totally different. So instead of parasympathetic nervous system, it tends towards parasympathetic nervous system. It starts to activate vagus nerve. So what happens? You feel more and more calmness. So alpha increases with the interoceptive integration in the neural pathway. And now you have a complete body scanning, which in Goenka language is Dhara Prabha or free flow. That should come. When it comes, depends on the practice. So in the EEG measure, you'll have a beautiful line. Okay. And then alpha increases due to sympathetic arousal is not there. That is, sympathetic response itself is not there. So what happens to the breath? It stops. So Passambayankaya Sankharan, Asasi Samiti Sikkati. And he says Sikkati because you have to learn this. There's no way you can watch it. It's learning. Okay? It's beauty, actually. So what happens? Your breath keeps on falling down and falling down. So your BPM, beats per minute, will reduce. You will experience this much when it goes beyond, less than 40. Now I'm at 60, 66 now. It takes me 10 minutes to be in 40 ranges. It will not still come into Passambayankaya Sankharan. No. It has to come lesser than 40. That means from 15 breaths, it should come to 3 or 5 a minute. Okay. If you have a HRV device or a breathing temperature, all that kind of devices, it can capture what is your breathing pattern. That's a beautiful thing. And not saying that you should go and buy all of these gadgets, but now you have gadgets to see this entire 16 steps can be measured. And that gives you a base assessment of what you are doing. How far have you developed? Okay. Or how far have I developed? So this is the first part. If I have done the 5 dhatus, I've skipped that Patvi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Akasa with the Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha, Anicca, etc. That I'll take it in the end. I'm just talking about Anapanasati. Shouldn't get confused with Anapana practice of VRI. It's totally different. That is elementary school syllabus, and this is school syllabus. Not even elementary, it is kindergarten. Okay. Now, when you measure this at Passambayankaya Sankharan, your breath has stopped. So there's no Kaya Sankhara. So Asapassa is Kaya Sankhara. In the Samanya Palasutta, Buddha explains that at a 4th stage, you should have stopping of breath, which is true. At this stage, the breath stops. What do you mean stops? It stops. The pause is more. If you are breathing 15, if it comes to 3, you have a gap of so much. Right? So it stops. Can I have be a 1 breath a minute? There are videos on that. You can try. There's a lot of YouTube videos. 1 breath a minute, 5 breath a minute, like that. That's a practice. I mean, that's a technique. So to say, that's the reason he says sikkati. It's not just watching. Here is where people go wrong. Where it is sikkati, you have to learn. Where it is pajanati, you should watch. You can't be watching like a dumb fellow all the time. What does the instruction say? Sikkati, learns. Who learns? I as a meditator. How do I learn? By watching the breath. But just by watching the breath, will it go down? No. There should be something to be done. So how do you do it? You have to go and watch the abdomen. There's a lot of write-ups on abdominal breathing because that is when the vagus nerve get activated. If you don't have vagus nerve activation, nothing can be accomplished. So we need to have vagus nerve. Okay. So out of 10, I think Madhukar had asked me about the 10 cranial nerves. So this is the time to cover that up a little bit. So the first sensory nerve is olfactory, smelling. The second sensory is optic, which is vision. The third one, there are a lot of videos on the internet. So, I mean, on the YouTube, you can understand it. If you are really interested, you can do that. But I'll just cover all of it for you. Oculomotor, which is the motor vagus nerve, has both the information sending and also the motor. Okay? That means sensory and motor. Whereas there are cranial nerves which are only motor or only sensory. They just sense, but they can't do any action out of it. Motor nerves does action. So like that, there are many of them, totaling 12. It's got anything to do with Patisamutpada, whereas we can roughly make that. But the 10th one is the most important one, which is vagus. That has voice. So when Buddha says you should be suvacha, you are literally driving the sensitive portion of vagus nerve activation. So if I'm having parusavacha, it goes into sympathetic nervous system. If I am in not parusavacha, then I am in vagus, swallowing. If you eat slowly, you're activating vagus nerve. Then complete parasympathetic control. In fact, the entire inflammation in the body, can be any kind of inflammation, is resolved through vagus nerve activation. That includes rheumatoid arthritis to crazy kind of diseases can be controlled, can be cured by vagus nerve activation. Okay, a very critical aspect. No kind of drugs, including pain killing and all of that, will work. It's vagus nerve activation, and they've tested it, and they found that the persons who were absolutely not doing good started doing good with vagus nerve activation. So please remember, the entire 16 out of that 12 of them, that's what Sariputta takes in the next, is complete vagus nerve. And it will make the motor nerve and the sensory nerves to withdraw. So what does Buddha say on this? If he says Indriya Samvara, basically you're withdrawing the sensory inputs. The neuron firings are happening because of sensory information. If you cut down the sensory information, your brain relaxes. Okay? And then it controls heart. So if you want the BPM to go down, you should be on vagus nerve. Wishing it doesn't work. And hence Buddha says, sikkati. If asapassa has to stop, not just sitting on the cushion and watching for 1 hour, even though it is good, but you should learn this art of abdominal breathing. So from the nose to the abdomen, it increases diga rasa, diga rasa, diga rasa. That is diga rasa. And then you seeing energy moving from head to the toe, including the spine area. Then the breath becomes very subtle because now it is on vagus nerve. Okay, and gut. That's the reason it's called as rest and digest. Parasympathetic is called rest and digest because it helps in digestion. So it's very intriguing, very nice to know that what you are doing is also medically slash scientifically can be proven. So just don't sit like blank in blankness. You shouldn't be in blank, it should be in awareness. Awareness means you should have alpha waves. If you are not having that, that means you're unaware. Now, what happens during Nirodha Samapatti, which is also part of this exercise in the 16 steps? What happens to you? No machine can read it. That's all what happens. So the EEG turns flat because your heart rate variability is high and your BPM, beats per minute, is reduced. You're in such a calm state that EEG cannot record it. Till date, they have not come up with any machine which can measure Nirodha Samapatti. Okay, even whichever day they come, it will be good. But at present, we don't have any device that can say anything. So basically, then cessation of perception, sensory perception is stopped, right? That's what the vagus nerve is meant for. Because both motor as well as sensory. And the feeling tone is due to sensation or sensory. Now, this is where I think, in my opinion, where I took this term sensation, because that's part of feeling of the motor nerves. It senses from the sensory, it does some action. So the brain does some action. So what happens here? There are no mental processes, but the life faculty continues. The person is not dead. And one, he emerges from it. That's what is there in the Chula Vedala Sutta. The person can review it completely. That means he was not dead. The brain was not stopped. He is not brain dead. So, from a neuroscience perspective, if I really see, because it's a very low cortical processing in the brain, so no sensory processing and very minimal to nil thalamus cortical communication. And there is no metabolic demand at all. That means there's nothing is being used in digestion, excretion, accumulation, any one of these. So the EEG would almost turn dead. So what happens to each one of them? No delta sleep. Because in delta, there's slow oscillations and unconsciousness happening and spontaneous dreaming cycles. That's what is happening. Whereas in the Nirodha Samapatti, it is intentionally entered and I can exit intentionally. It becomes something what I wanted, not by choice. Now the question comes with that EEG monitor with all kind of circuitry. Can a person enter into Nirodha Samapatti? Yes, through the 16 what Buddha is explaining. He does it correctly. After this, it's only sikkati. Piti patisamvedi asasi sameti sikkati. You see that? Sikkati. Nowhere he's saying without sikkati. I don't know why people don't understand this very direct information what Buddha has given. I'm really, I have no answer to it. Because it's all sikkati, it's not pajanati, not about knowing. Sikkati, learns. And even in English translation, it says learns. If you are to learn, shouldn't they ask question, how should I learn? And that's what beats my imagination. How can they blindly follow something and yet claim I'm doing anapana? Beats my real imagination, to be honest. Anyway, that's their problem, it's not my problem. But when somebody calls me and say I'm doing anapanasati, it gives me a really, you know, laughter, which I can't laugh in front of them. Okay, to learn. So what will you do in piti? What happens when you are in piti? What will work and what will not work? So these alpha waves which are there and the theta waves, there is energy movement. So what happens to the neurons firing? It doesn't fire. So there is retaining of energy? Yes, absolutely. So he sees lights or some colors or something, or there is exuberant feeling as though something is coming from inside and is. And what does Buddha say? Samanya Palasutta, he says how the piti is experienced. Exactly what the medical science says. There would be like a spring of energy, he calls it water, in the lake. No inlets and outlets, and then the person sitting there will feel burst of what? Water. Here, burst of energy. Why? It's because of alpha and theta. And then this spring is gamma. So if you have more gamma waves, that means you're in piti. So between my thing, what I showed you on the alpha testing, if I were to share back the screen to you, is here. I have a good 42% of piti. In this one, no piti, no joy. Why this happened is because overthinking. What I wanted to achieve, this should be 100. And you see this energy level, energy pyramid, superb. You see here, drained. And the timeline is 30th June and 23rd November. They asked me to come after so many months to test it out. So the experiment got failed. See, there is no usage at all in the brain. Here you see it is used up. Autocorrelation. This is how it is looking. And it is drained out here. This is light blue. Adaptation 99. Here it is 60. Just that one change asking me to achieve 100%. That's it. Failed. How could I have done 100%? By not taking it seriously. So, sikkati, right? To learn, which I didn't learn. So, you can use this science easily. So, the same way I can do with sukha, alpha theta pattern. And the chitta sankhara patisambhedi, this is where things starts to change, where feeling perception with mood swings are slowly going off. So the theta to alpha monitoring will happen. So now let me tell you what is theta. Theta is inward quietness, deep internalization. It can be in clarity or it can be in dullness. In dullness, it goes in a different route, but let's say it is in clarity. So alpha, theta, alpha, theta, alpha, theta all the time. Alpha is wakefulness, because that is what is required. And theta is inward quietude. The mind is becoming still, no shaking. Body is stilled already because the breath is stilled. So now it is chitta, which is getting stilled. Pasambaying chitta sankhara. Now the theta takes over. What happens to the beta? There is no active thinking at all. So there's nothing to do any problem solving. No stress. Wakefulness, restfulness. Okay. Now, the feeling and perception now comes to a complete, almost halting state. Because there is nothing to feel, there is nothing to perceive. If that is true, then we come to the chitta itself. Chitta pati samvedi assassi samiti sikkati, again, learns, experiences the mind state directly, wherein the alpha theta get into a meta awareness, which is there in TMI, meta awareness. So you will get peripheral awareness and active awareness at the same time. You're totally awakened. So if I'm awakened, what's going to happen? You reach the most relaxable state. And because of that, you get abhipamod, joyous and glad. So you will have a balanced alpha, theta, gamma. And you get so much of clarity because of gamma. Then samadham chittam asasi samiti sikkate, it gets unified. So now it is all stable. Alpha, theta, reduced, beta, very collectedness, completely alert, no sleepy. There are two kinds of samadhis. One is sleepy samadhi, one is wakefulness samadhi, the completely wakefulness samadhi. wherein the sound will not disturb, sights will not disturb, taste will not disturb, touch will not disturb, nothing will disturb. And then comes last one, vimocha. Here is where it becomes flat. The mind is released. So there is no activity. So if they measure it, the brain waves are almost flat, while it touches 100%, what I just now showed. Okay, that's it for today. And we'll come back to the other things tomorrow. Any questions? So, why I took all of this is to make sure that you understand that there is a science behind this. It's not about just feeling that, oh, Buddha has said, you really see it, can really measure it. I'm not proposing you to buy news band. You can buy it if you want. Okay, and you can check. Maybe Bobby can check it next time he goes to Pomona. He can wear it and sit and see how good he's doing. And they might send him home because he can't be using mobile phone and any one of these gadgets. But then, if you want, you can keep it for 10 hours. Okay, do whatever you're doing. Just look at those waves. It will show up beautifully how you're doing. Don't go by what it says as calm or whatever, that you leave it. Don't go by what Muse or anything says, because that's their algorithm to say you're calm or whatever. But then you can use other ways. I'm using ChatGPT, which is making me feel very happy. It tells me, oh, if I've shared screenshot and it says, this is the state we are in. It's very nice. I never felt that it can do so much. Any questions? Yes, Madhukar.
Now, Uday, sir,
Now, the
even though the neuroscience and the human biological body physiology biochemistry gives lots of information, but as what Buddha also said, and that it is only the whatever it is essence is given, that's enough. So you are literally given the essence of what is required for Dhamma understanding, and that's really a right path rather than going into the literature of pages and pages. Only thing whichever it is necessary, that was enough. So you are given the adequate Dhamma knowledge through science and the science through Dhamma. I think that's a very appreciable.
no worries. So we should know why I'm doing something. So then we get motivation. Otherwise, we will be just doing as a ritual. And we claim ourselves that we are following Buddha. I think we are following, instead of Buddha, it should have been Buddhu, Buddhu. Because we don't know how things work. We just made it something super normal. No, nothing super normal about it.
It is just a travel from A to U. So XYZ is kept for miscellaneous cases. So
Yes.
yeah, just go from U to A, reverse engineering. That's what we are doing.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So actually, if you're not feeling any pain in the body, like there is a um, Bobby's friend by name Sajal. He can sit for 8 hours, which seems to be very surprising. Oh my goodness, how can he sit for 8 hours? Two things are required. Number one, body plasticity. It is already there. Okay, and determination. Okay, let's say somebody has determined to do it, and his body is plasticity is good. The person can sit, no worries. Then what happens? How this becomes possible? Endorphins are there, and that will start to produce in great numbers when it is rested. So, in the case of Sajal, he is able to get into vagus nerve activation. So he can sit. He feels relaxed in the end. If it is worried, also he can sit because worry is a mental state, whereas the neuronic state at which it is firing, it is still in vagus. So when he gets up, he'll have pains, but not much because endorphins have taken good control of it. So if I think it's an achievement, no, you just have to know how to move into vagus nerve. That's it. It's not that why I can't sit for 8 hours. No. If I follow Buddha, I need to see what conditions are required to sit for 8 hours. You meet that condition, you're there because it's conditioned. It's not my wish. It's setting the right condition. If I sit right condition, if I set right condition, I can sit for 8 hours or even 10 hours or even for the whole 24 hours. Can be done. So when I say I'm determined to do it, it's no I doing there. It is the conditions. So I'm bringing the necessary. I'm bringing the necessary condition. I'm bringing the necessary conditions for it to work. So then there is no I. I know the conditions. So what's the condition? Sealer. First condition. But that's what blocks the samadhi. So it's a sealer. Okay, great. Now what's the second condition? Body flexibility. Develop it. Sikkati. Then the third one, calm down the breathing. Third condition. Fourth condition, stop the breath. Meaning reduce the 15 breaths to 1 or 2 breaths a minute. Then what happens? The brain sends impulses saying that now it is time to relax. So what happens to the neurochemicals which were on different kind of alertness for fight and flight? Norepinephrine reduces, epinephrine reduces, cortisol reduces, adrenaline activation reduces. Then the pain is gone. Inflammation goes away. So when there is no inflammation in the body, what happens to the body? Perfectly calm. So should I go to VRI to do this? Shouldn't I go to VRI to do this? No. If you want, you go. It doesn't matter. You go wherever you want. The whole point is this much. So then what happens to the vipassana? Yeah, you can do the body scanning, fair. That's one kind of method. But what's the sure shot method? Follow what Buddha says, the next four: anicca, viraga, nirodha, patinisagga. That's Buddha. So the difference between Buddha and tradition is the tradition falls short and the Buddha is here. So if I'm a traditional person, I have to follow Kalama Sutta because it doesn't get me there. Not at all. So what should I do with the tradition? Done. Come to the Buddha. But I'm still not prepared or still not matured enough. Go on the tradition. Absolutely fine. One last thing before I would like to close is that there are a lot of questions which have come recently on, especially in Hindi sessions. There's a word which people use, sankhar bhar bhar ke aate hain. It means the sankharas keep on coming in huge numbers. So I just want to give clarity on that. In Buddha Dhamma, there's nothing called sankharas which are going to come like a free flow or whatever it is, or from past life on this and that, and so many different things. There's no thing like that. But if I'm following a tradition, here is what I need to know. It's true to that sense. How? I will tell you. So when you say mind, there are three layers of the mind. The conscious mind, like I'm now recognizing as Madhukar or Bobby or Ritu or Mrutyunjay, etc. That's a conscious, where it's learned. But the subconscious layer only takes the feelings. What feelings? Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. So Buddha talks on the unconscious experiences which you are getting, which gets conscious rather than the conscious. So you need to know that. What is he saying and what is tradition saying? The tradition is saying about this unconscious as a sensation, which is correct, because you can't have a feeling. You'll have a sensation appearing on the body, because the subconscious layer is something which you feel on the body. Now there is unconscious, which Goenka says it as anushaya, sleeping, which is true. Here is where we need to make a distinction between what Buddha says and what Goenka says. Is because in the Goenka, if there is something called unconscious, it will come to subconscious. And from subconscious, it comes to conscious. So don't react, because there is some heat which is coming. Don't react to it. It is coming due to your unconscious. Don't react. In that way, it is sankhara, because it's unconscious. It's coming into subconscious and it's coming into conscious. So when it comes to conscious, don't react. It passes away. It arisen, it passes away. But it fails on two fronts. First front, if it is bodily, this will not work. And hence Buddha says, I have taught people two kind of Vedanas, Kaika Vedana, Chetasika Vedana. There is no one single Vedana. It's two Vedanas. If it is Kaika, it can't be solved. It can't be removed. If it is Chetasika, you can do it. That is mental, can be removed. But Kaika will remain. Like somebody is having hunger, no amount of saying anicca, 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 anicca. Stomach will say nicca, 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 nicca. Urine is coming anicca, anicca. No, in the down it will come. You have to go to the washroom. So don't act stupid, because that is kayika. So any kayika, including head spinning, vomiting, diarrhea, etc., are driven out of kaya. You have to get it addressed. And hence, gilana, medicines, right? Even during Buddha time, it was there. Now also it is there. If you have bodily problem, go and visit the doctor and take care. They are not unconscious. They have got nothing to do with subconscious. They have got nothing to do with conscious also. That's not what we are talking about. So in the Buddha, it is kaika, chetasika, separate. Now in VRI, especially, they combine both and make everything look it is bodily. No, not at all. This is one problem with VRI, which doesn't work, but they think it works. It's fair from their side. Now come to the second aspect of it. In the Buddha Dhamma, there is no three layers of consciousness at all. Only when you make it three layers, you can say sankharas are coming. So if I'm following Buddha, no sankhara comes like that. I'm sorry to say, but that's the truth. So be careful when you follow and say sankharas are coming. They can't come like that. There are only 6 sankharas. They can't come like that. And each senses as a sankhara. And that is there clarified in the Kajaniya Sutta. So you have to make the distinction between what Goenkaji says and what Buddha says. If you put Goenka on top of Buddha, it would be wrong. Because Buddha is Buddha, Goenka is not Buddha, not at all. So we need to know this distinction. It's not that that is wrong. If you are following it as conscious, subconscious, unconscious, Anushaya is in unconscious, what Goenkaji says is perfectly right. It will come. Don't react. But here you have to make a distinction between Kaika Vedana and Chetasika Vedana. Even if the teacher says, just ignore it, don't ignore it. Take whatever necessary thing, because they have taken undertaking from you. If anything happens to you, it's your problem. They don't come and solve your problem. And especially in India, maybe abroad it might be different, but in India, they have a very bad attitude of saying nothing will happen. Just see that sensation. No. Bodily is bodily. Yes, mental problem, you can do it. Yes, absolutely fair. I agree. That's how it should be. So you don't react. Let it come. Now the second question. Does it all the time come on the body? No, not at all. That's also clarified in many suttas in the Sanyukta Nikaya. So don't ignore. Why I'm telling you this is that the neurons firing, what you're having, the firing starts when something goes wrong. And you have to take an action against that, because the brain is trying to say, there is some threat, there is something to be done. If I don't do it, the heart will start to pace. The heart paces, you get tachycardia. And if you have too much of tachycardia, then the chances of getting heart attack, to heart seizure, to heart failure is almost certain. So don't take it lightly that it will automatically go away. No, you will go away. That's all is going to happen. Don't play with your life. Whether it's a long-term course or a short-term course or whatever course you're going, it's fair. If it is bodily, see whether it is really bodily. How would you come to know? Through the shivers, through a lot of things which takes over, including vomiting, diarrhea, and other things. Don't ignore it. Even fever. Just take action. Don't wait. Even if you come to my house, it's the same. You take your care of your body. Because even Buddha had to take care of his own body. So even Sariputta had to take care of his own body. He was in diarrhea. He had to do everything. So don't think that if you are a Buddhist or if you are following Buddha, these things will not happen. No, it has got nothing to do with whether you are Buddhist or no Buddhist. Doesn't matter. Everyone faces the vyadhi. That's Buddha says. There are 49 of them. So take care. Don't go into this route. In the Buddha Dhamma, there is no layers as conscious, subconscious, unconscious. That's a clarification I wanted to give because many people are asking about this. Is it a real sankhara or no sankhara? Like that. There's no sankhara like that at all in Dhamma. Okay. Any questions? Anyone? So now this is 16 steps into 3. 24 into 3, 72. So if you come to Sariputta, it talks about 72 vipassana. 4 into 4 into 4, 16. Like that. So your kaya anupassana, vedana anupassana, chitta anupassana, 3. 4 plus 4 plus 4. 8 plus 4, 12. 12 into 2, 24. 24 into 3, 72. So vipassana is 72. So what do you do in all of those is anicca dukkha anatta. This is not there in Anapanasati Sutta, MN 118. Remember this. So you have to go to Anapanasati Katha, learn it from Sariputta, and come back here to practice. In fact, the entire Anapanasati working you should learn from Sariputta and practice here because it's always a sikkati, and the best teacher as per Buddha who can teach is Sariputta. So you have to go to Anapanasati Katha in the Patisambhidha Magga Pali. Okay, that's it. Then tomorrow we'll do the other part and close Maharahuna. So anyone felt overwhelming of physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology? Okay. I can only see two kind of people, whether they understood or misunderstood is one part. Second part who never got anything. That can also be there.
So can I say something?
Yes.
I think for me particularly, the ways in which you explain, I mean, it's very scientific, which each one of us, those who follow the path of the Buddha, it gives a lot of clarity. No one explains in this way. So thank you so much.
Fair. Thank you. I only hope the effort I put, people are able to make the best use of it and not believe in traditions or in ritual. That's the whole idea. There is no ritualism. Yeah, sure. And there is no ritualism at all in Buddha Dhamma. So people have made everything into a ritual. I want them to see it, how things work. You should be a scientist, basically, of your mind. Any other? Okay, if nothing else exists, I think we are good to close. All right, good day, good afternoon, and good evening.